Here is one coming in from. What did you call yourself? Raven says, Dear Sir Woolington and Father Bartholomew, I have served at the Gamestop trenches for almost 3 years from 2008 to 2010. During this time, one of the rarest and most sought after games was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It was so rare at that GameStop, notorious for price gouging, that even then they'd slap a $40 cash on the table to get a copy for a trade to trade in good condition because they knew that it would turn around for at least 89 and it would instantly sell. For most of my tenure at the store, there were 3 copies of Marvel 2 for PS2 in existence at the GameStop database in the US, one in Hawaii, and one in Colorado. When I saw nothing in town on the East Coast, I happen to work at one of these stores, but I won't say which for reasons that'll become clear shortly. Roughly once a month or so, someone would come in asking if we still had Marvel 2 ported our way by other GameStops, and we always had to say the same song and dance of sorry, it's a glitch in the system, we don't actually have it here, I don't know why it says we do, yada yada. This was obviously disappointing as some of the potential customers had traveled a considerable distance trying to get it. But the sad truth is, we knew exactly why the system said we had a copy. It wasn't even 10 feet away from the register, tucked away in the reserved box in the back room. It was an under-the-table policy at GameStop, at least in our store, that if a game came in and you traded, and a trade that you wanted, you could set it aside for yourself so that you could save up for it. This is precisely what the assistant manager did with that copy of MVC2, but he never got around to actually buying it, as he was always pumping money into his car instead. Because of this, the rest of the staff, myself included, were forced to keep lying about the game's whereabouts because we knew we would be instantly fired if we ever caved and sold it to someone else. By the time I left the store to take up a job doing graveyard shift tech support, the copy remained unsold. I say all this because there's a non-zero chance at least one of the listeners is a victim of our lies, and if so, I sincerely apologize for my part in perpetuating them, especially if I was the one who lied to your face. I hope if you manage to find a better alternative to your quest for a copy than shelling out money to GameStop's glorified pawn shop empire.
I still this always makes me think of hey, I want a new game. Okay, and then they walk over to get the disc out of a sleeve and give it to you, and you're like, that's not a new
Why
game.
are
That
you
whole
opening up
rigmarole.
my game? Yep.
And that bullshit. And sometimes I cave, sometimes I wouldn't, depending on how much it mattered to me. But the one that always got me, for Castlevania, I want to say Portrait of Ruin, but it's been so long that I forget. But one of the DS Castlevania games, I pick it up, I buy it. It's day one, and I put it in, and there's a fucking clear save.
Yeah, the clear save. Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Yep.
yeah, that's what I fucking thought. That's why you guys fucking gut the fucking cases. Is so you can get around to embargo and just fucking play games the fucking day they come in. And that's why Halo and Pokemon had those absurd palettes that had the super tape on them.
Yes. So it's not why, but it is a byproduct. The reason why is because during the Deus Ex era, when you remember, and the Mortal Kombat 9 era, it was so that games that came with digital download codes for stuff could be opened up and they could take that shit out because digital downloads hurt GameStop. So they wanted to take away things you were supposed to get with your copy of the game. And they opened up every copy of Human Revolution and ripped out a digital download code from it to give you it without it. Now, opening up the game as policy is just, as a byproduct, they can take out and put what they want in there. And also their people can actually use them and do shit like what you just described. But it's bullshit.
Really, it's really shocking to me because people, like, once internet speeds got to a certain point, people like massively embraced digital distribution, even with all the problems associated with it, of which there are many. Nintendo shows us that constantly. And it literally just always boiled down to, where's the easiest place for me to buy games? Is it GameStop or EB Games or whatever? And just going in is such a consistently fucking miserable experience. Just, hey, I ordered this game. Is it here? No. Why not? Well, check back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Every Thursday, 2 weeks. KOF. Do you have KOF 11 yet? Yeah, I know it says it should be here, but we'll have it next week. Next week on Thursday, huh? Yep. Okay. How long are we going to play this game? Is it your policy to just tell me to come back every 2 weeks? Like, am I going to show up and you're going to make an embarrassed face because you don't know what to say to me because you didn't think I'd actually show up? Because I'm here. What do you got for me this week? And, like, on the third or fourth week after my reservation was there, dude straight up just gave me well, I don't know what you want from me, man. And I'm like, okay.
I want my game.
Yeah, that like straight up just then like what like I know you're not the shipper, but why are you lying to me, you know?
Just say I don't know the first time.
So the silver lining in this email for Raven over here, I can say, is that it sounds like you feel really bad about all the people that came in and were unable to acquire a copy of the game that they were looking for. They wanted their Marvel 2 and they didn't get it. Fortunately, I can say this: you should not feel bad because you saved those people from purchasing what is known as the worst version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 possible. The port for PS2 is ass. It's horrible. It's
the only one I've played.
It has frame rate drops out the fucking ass, and they fixed a bunch of glitches that are like game known, like competitive bugs that people want to be in the game for combos and shit. So they completely just fucked it up. And it performs worse. It performs worse, and it patched shit that people didn't want patched out. So the PS2 version of Marvel 2 sucks. They were spared. So you don't feel too bad about it. Dreamcast version, that's your best bet.
I actually have a fairly similar story. Do you remember the Radio Shack in Atwater Plaza?
Yeah.
Do you remember when I went and bought a Razer phone and it had dudes' numbers in it?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah. There were people's numbers in it, and I fucking called one of them. I called the first one. And they're like, "Hello?" I'm like, "Who is calling you right now?" And they hung up on me. And I was like, "Okay, fuck this." And returned it and just fucking never looked back.
Man.
Like, I don't want your fucking phone that you ripped out of a thing to do drug deals on, or whatever the fuck that was.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. 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 It's scumbag shit. Anytime you don't get it sealed in the fucking box, like, no. We're not doing this.
You know what might be the most condescending thing someone's ever said to me in retail ever? But you opened it. It's not a new game. It's I can see you're taking the disc out of a sleeve. To which the GameStop man, who was a guy I knew from high school, looked at me and said, "Well, I mean, we have like a plastic machine. Do you want me to reseal it?"
Yeah.
Because I can just go in the back and I can reseal it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my brain is like, wait, so you're telling me that none of the ones that are sealed might actually be really sealed? And he was like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm out. Goodbye. I'm out of here.
Like, I remember when I bought a Game Boy Advance game, and, like, even out, like, there's something about, like, the box for that with a booklet in it and everything. It's not just, like, a disc tray. It's, like, a full-on fucking cartridge box. And I'm like, you have just a stack of them. It was Metroid Zero Mission, I think, just in a drawer in front of you, just scattered about. And you just grabbed in, rummaged, and grabbed one out and threw it in the box and handed it to me. And I'm like, I can see the Nintendo seal sliced through on the box. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Why? You know? Yeah, man.
Can you imagine that for any other product? Like, hey man, I want a vacuum cleaner. Okay, and then he goes into like a big box and just pulls a vacuum cleaner out, and then puts it into the vacuum cleaner box and goes, "Hey, here you go." Especially for something as fragile as discs. Discs. I got discs out of the sleeve that were broken, that had been scratched into unusability,
Yeah.
and they gave me shit and like for damaging it. And I'm like, I went home and came back immediately. I've been gone for 2 hours. Do you really think? And I'm trying to return. I'm trying to return it for the same game. Why are you giving me fucking shit?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brick and mortar, man.
Yeah, so yeah,
Or
just make sure.
I told the Shenmue story many times, but just you rent a 4-disc game from Microplay, you take it home, the first disc is scratched, it doesn't work. I come back and they accuse me of having damaged the game, and I'm like, it clearly I just got, it was 20 minutes ago. I walked in, put it in a disc, and it didn't play, and I walked back here and said, hey, it doesn't work, and now you're saying it's damaged and I have to pay for the whole copy of the game? Fuck you. What the fuck? You know? And just to the level of like, well, sorry then, you know, it's if you're not willing to replace the full copy, then that's going to be it for your membership, you know? And then just like back and forth and bullshit to eventually just like, okay, here, you know what? How about this? Okay? I'll pay your disc damage for this, and you give me discs 2, 3, and 4, seeing as this is a 4-disc game, and those are all fine. I'll just take those.
If you're telling me I have to buy it because I broke it, give it to me.
Then suddenly, well. All right, hey man, how about this? You just give me 20 square and and it'll be flat, right? How about that? Just give me 20 flat. Fuck you! You fucking piece of shit. Now you just want a 20 flat for you to keep this with the 3 other discs that are fine, which you should have no reason to want anymore, because it's only one of the 4 that's the such
Dude,
pieces of shit.
Like, just make sure. Hey, digital is weird with rights. It can take a long time to download your internet cap or whatever. Like anything to avoid going into a game retailer ever again.
I mean, lest we forget like 2 years ago when they were like forcing people into like fucking mid-pandemic, like you must stay open and breathe in from people's mouths in order to pre-order their games.
I didn't even get a console from fucking a game retailer or even a big box store. I ordered it like through Amazon or like the Shoppers Drug Mart.
The police will try to shut you down. Show them this piece of paper that says this is essential work. Anyways. Yeah. You saved people from the worst version of the game, so let that be on your conscience. You'll be okay.